We hear a lot of perspectives on the Mankind podcast. Inclusion of a guest is not an endorsement of their views, and the opinions expressed here do not always represent the mission or values of the Mankind Project USA.
Rock on. So good day and welcome to another live recording of the Mankind podcast, the show where we break the molds of modern manhood to prove there's more than one way to be a man. And today we're joined by Naji Iman. Now, Naji is an initiated earthkeeper, meditation teacher, spiritual coach, and a fellow leader of mine here in the Southeast, here in the United States. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you joining us today, mate.
Thanks, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, dude, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you for being here. So I wanted to invite you on after hearing about your story. So just about a year ago, mate, you were in quite a harrowing accident. I saw the photos you posted on Facebook, and I am amazed, stunned that you came away from a wreck like that. It was absolutely brutal. So I know that you've experienced many changes since the accident, and we're going to get into those today because I believe it's going to give our listeners a great opportunity to perhaps not wait for something like that to happen before they can have the aha or the wake up moment like you've had yourself throughout this experience. So before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and then we will get underway.
Okay, so I'm Naji Iman. I'm originally from New York, Wayne, New York, where I was born. Currently in Atlanta, Georgia. 35 years old. I have one son. He's 9. I'm currently in a long-term relationship with my partner, Dree. And it is, I'm actually coaching now, again, spiritual coaching, and got a podcast rolling out myself and all these things. I was a mechanic and a carpenter and had a remodeling business and all these different things. And that brings us to where we're at today, because that's actually the truck you saw in the pictures is the one that I was using to build that business, the remodeling business last year. And it all came crashing down in minutes, seconds even. So, yeah.
So take us to the day. Take us to the day. What was happening and what transpired?
Yeah, so I was me and Dree. We were going through a breakup at the time, and I was taking a piece of furniture to her house because it was something I promised her before. So I was taking it to her house, and it's like this desk that you have to install on the wall, and I'm driving out there in this truck, and I was really enjoying this truck that I bought, and I was on my way there, and I was thinking, man, I did all this work to this truck. I was like, man, I really love this truck, man. Like, I'll keep this truck forever, Like, it was really cool, like hot rod kind of truck. And so I get there, and I'm installing the desk, but I didn't have the sandpaper to finish the top. So I'm like, I got to run to Home Depot, get some sandpaper. And so, mind you, at this time, I have everything I need in my truck except the sandpaper. It was really weird. And this is all kind of rolls into the kind of like the spiritual nature of the whole thing, right? So I go to Home Depot to get this sandpaper. And once again, I'm in the truck. I'm like, man, we're going to break up with this truck, man. I'm like all into this truck.
Forget about the girl. I got these horsepowers between my legs.
Yeah, it was like this. It was my safe place, like to hear in my car, I felt safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm driving, and I'm turning the corner, and I'm not far from Home Depot. I'm probably 3 minutes from there. I turn the corner, go down this hill on this access road, and I see 3 or 4 cars coming in my direction, and one of them in the very back comes around the front 2 or 3. I can't remember how many there were. She comes around 2 or 3, and she's flying. And I didn't say this, I'm also a trained stunt driver too, right? So I'm pretty good with the wheel. And so I go to the right to avoid her because she's in my lane. It's a 2-lane road. She's in my lane, and she goes right too. And so I'm like, oh, and I correct to the left. And when I do, I mean, the truck's already, losing control because the way I'm moving the wheel. And so I just hit the brakes, and she slams into me head on. I don't really know how fast she was going, but it was fast because she got to me really fast. And right before she hit me, something in me, I'm thinking it's more like in the instinct, kind of animal instinct, or maybe even the timing of, I don't know, but I knew I was gonna die. Like I had this awareness that this is where I go, you know. And for context, I could never, we imagine our life. I know I've imagined my life into the future, how I want it to look and things like that. But I literally, when I was in my late 20s, couldn't see past 35. I'm 35 now, and I could never see past 35. And I never understood what that was. But something told me that something was going to change. I was either going to die or something's going to happen, And so I recognized later this was that scenario. And so when she hit me, I saw the whole scene. It was, I'm in the seat, but I'm looking at my body. I'm looking at the windshield. I'm looking at her car. I see her car. I see my truck. I see the whole scene all at one time, which was strange, but it also felt normal. It was this weird kind of separation between the two. And so I remember feeling like I was in this, almost like in a bubble of energy, this bubble of protection, my body itself. And this all came to, like, a lot of this came to me later, but in this situation, I just remember that I chose to stay here. Like it was like there was a conversation. And so this is where I always have a hard time, because the conversation was, do you want to stay or do you want to go? And this conversation was with a being that I can only identify as a higher being, whatever you want to call that, but the essence was everywhere. It wasn't like a person standing or anything like that. It was like the essence of everything, if that makes sense. But I felt an extreme amount of love in this place of out of body, and so much love. It was just almost unbearable, And the conversation was, do you want to stay? Do you want to stay? Do you want to go? And originally, because I was in this breakup place, I really wanted to go. I didn't want to stay. And so the original thing was, take me. I want to go. And then it was like, well, check again. Realize where you're at. And I recognized I could do anything I wanted in this space. I could do anything I wanted in this space. And I realized there was so much I would be leaving behind, and I didn't do some things I really wanted to do. And then when I had that moment, it was like, well, do what we sent you to do. Do what you came here to do. And if you will imagine a feeling of completion and utmost peace, like all the peace that I could muster at the moment in such a crazy moment, because there's all this metal and glass and all this stuff happening. And as soon as it was like, when I said okay, then I'm in the truck, and I'm back, and I'm up, and I'm looking both directions. And at this point, people are all around the truck trying to see if I'm alive or if I'm dead. And I'm bleeding everywhere, and I've got all these pains here and there, in my hand, in my head, in my ankle, in my side. And I get and I open the door myself. And I walk to the side, and people tell me to, sit down. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm getting out of this truck. But when I'm laying on the ground, I'm realizing how happy I feel. Like this, so much joy, like so much joy. And so much so that I was I was in support of everyone around me because they were all panicking, and I'm like, it's okay. I'm still in this like serene, peaceful, joyful
Right. So
place.
this isn't an intellectual awareness where you're like, I'm so happy I'm alive. It's just
No,
more like it is an essence, which I can only relate to that in a sense when people have asked me with my ayahuasca journeys, like, oh, so you had a conversation with Mother Aya? And I'm like, yes, but not like I'm having a conversation with you right now.
right,
It's almost like your whole being speaks
exactly.
in a way. Okay. So different circumstances, but okay, similar experience as far as how that communication occurs.
Absolutely, yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, and that, like people believe about ayahuasca that you go into a different dimensions and you're having these conversations, like you say, these beings, these essences. You're having the conversation. So, yeah, different scenario, but similar essence.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
just it's there
Yeah.
without the help of a substance.
Hmm.
And so, there's so much to it that would take a long time to talk about as far as all the details, like I said, being in a force field and all this, and feeling like I was, taken up, and all that is all the extra stuff.
Hmm.
But I had already changed because of this experience. I just didn't know in what ways. And so what it was is as I'm sitting around the house after all this is done, I don't have to go through all the hospital stuff, but after all this is done and I'm back home and I'm recovering, I would get all these downloads, if you will, like the remembering of the experience and what came from it. And the main thing was I was so grateful for family, so grateful for love, so clear on what success was, on this plane, while we're here, that we're all one and we're all here to figure out really who we are really, remember who we are, appreciate it, be grateful. And so while I'm in this state, I mean, I'm just connecting with people. Everything's taken care of. And so like at this time, it wasn't like I was, even though I was growing this business, starting business is hard. So I wasn't just crushing it, right? So I'm like thinking about running out of money and like all this stuff, but everything was handled, and not just by family and friends, but random amazing things would happen where I was taken care of that I can't even describe. But for 5 months, no work, working for myself, and I'm still here, and things are still, and I still have roof over my head, and everything still is working out. This is going on a year now. It was last October. So one thing that taught me was this profound level of faith and things always working out and everything happening exactly how it's supposed to, always. And where I'm at right now is where I'm supposed to be. If I wasn't, then how did I get there? And three, that really the greatest success I could have in my life is inner peace, love around me, and love for myself, and a fulfilling life, like something that I can lay down in my bed at night and smile. And that could be a simple life. That could be usually simplicity is the encouragement, because human beings have gotten so far away from simplicity that
So
it
on,
takes away.
so on that, what were the things that you once put a lot of importance and time and energy into that now you, with the awareness you have now, you just don't entertain anymore?
Yeah, the chase for money, the chase for worldly success. I don't chase anymore. It just comes to me,
Mm.
because I just know. I just have this knowing that it's all handled, and I don't. I still do work, but even like with the podcast I'm talking about and coaching, and I still do some mechanic work on the side. It just people just call me, and they don't have to even know. I don't everything I need I have,
Mm.
and I have people around me that love me dearly now, and I'm okay with how life is. But I used to always want it to be more and more and more. I got to get this
Yeah.
and get that and have this much. I want this car and
Mm.
this house, and it's really just not important to me anymore.
Mm.
Hey, it's Poison. On the Mankind podcast, we've brought some incredible guests on to talk about the importance of doing the work to improve our mental and emotional health. And here's the truth. Multiple times over the last 25 years, I've had the help of one-on-one work with some amazing therapists. For me, for my wife, for both of us as adoptive parents, and for our kids. The Mankind Project and Men's Group, though awesome, are not a substitute for professional mental health support. And so I'm thrilled that the Mankind Podcast now has BetterHelp as a sponsor for the show. BetterHelp works online. It asks you what you're working on and then matches you for live one-on-one sessions with a licensed therapist, someone trained to work with you, listen, and offer helpful insights. I'm using BetterHelp. It's super easy, and I like what I'm getting. If getting one-on-one support in the comfort of your own space feels like a good direction for you, I invite you to check it out. Go to the link in the show notes or betterhelp.com/mankind. And if you sign up, you'll get 10% off your first month of therapy.
Yeah.
How has your fathership or your fatherhood changed? How you approach your son and spend time with him?
Yeah.
And perhaps give us a snapshot of before.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so before, when I spend time with him, I'd be all in my head, thinking about business, thinking about finances, thinking about this and that, not being present. You know, I would have moments of presence and things like that. But I also would hold back my emotional expression, especially the joy ones, the smiling, the connection. So now it's like I listen intently. When we're together, it's like deep moments of conversation and laughing and knowing who he is, getting to know him better. And the moment is all that really matters to me now. The future is, I mean, I imagine things still, but it really has to do with peace. And when I'm with him, it's none of that. It's none of that. Yeah.
And lastly, your partner. You guys are broken up when this accident had occurred.
Yeah.
And from my understanding of her is she wouldn't have got back with you for pity because you got injured.
Oh, no.
Right, you're in a wreck. Like, some work had to be done there.
Yeah.
So how did you change to make the two of your bond more compatible?
Yeah. I mean, the presence part is still a big piece of that. Being way more present, taking care of myself. You know, not
because she was becoming second fiddle to the chase, I imagine, as well.
well. Yeah, she's becoming second, and also me not taking care of myself was basically modeling to her how I would or wouldn't take care of her. You know.
Yeah.
And so when I started taking care of myself and also making sure I hear what she's saying and finding out what she needs and how we can actually do this together, having more communication, everything was much different because before it was all assumptions and what I thought things should be and all this. But after that, it was more like, how can we do this together? That was the biggest change.
And so previously you said you couldn't look past 35 when you were growing up, and you are now 35.
Yeah.
How far can you see now?
You know what's so funny? I think that was the piece. I don't even see it still. And I posted on social media once that I'm living in the mystery now. And that's the beauty. Like, the mystery is the fun. Like, that's what it's about. Because the mystery is the faith part. You know, if I didn't have any faith, then I want to know what's next, so I can feel comfortable, feel safe. But I don't care about that really.
Beautiful, man. So what do you say to someone out there who may be finding themselves in that chase right now? And people like myself who sometimes need things to get worse before they get better. What is your calling to them so they can tap into some of this energy and don't have to get head on collided with to wake up to that? What would you say to them?
I'd say they like to say the present is the gift, you know. Like, now is all that really matters. And everything is, your life is already taken care of in so many ways. if we just allow it to unfold how it's supposed to, it's really already going to work out.
Well, I can certainly hear to that when it comes to allowing the chase to get in the way of things that are important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Naji, it's been an honor to share this space with you, and I'm grateful to get to spend more time with you in the weeks to come and the eventual new warrior training we have happening in September. And for those listening, this is an opportunity. If you've been listening for a while or this is your first time, the Mankind Project's New Warrior Training Adventure is our flagship weekend experience. It is a proper rite of passage for the modern man that is missing in society today. We have a lot of grown men. We have a lot of children in grown men bodies right now because these young boys never had a proper initiation into their manhood. It's not getting the car, getting the girl, getting laid, or any of those things. It's not joining a gang or joining a frat. This is an experience that has been lost through the times. And we here at the Mankind Project have been facilitating these weekends for 40 years now. And I judge we do it some of the best rite of passage weekends in the world. And we have one happening in Atlanta, in the Southeast this September. So head to mkpusa.org and you will see links to get yourself on a new warrior training. And if you have some interest, and of course, please never hesitate to reach out to me, Brandon at brandoncliff.com. I would love to chat to you if this is something that you are interested or someone you know could benefit from it. So Naji, thank you for being here, brother. Any final words before we wrap up?
Yeah. Just spread love, man. Spread love, man. That's it. Thank you. I'm complete.
Beautiful. All right. Lots of love to you, man. And of course, love to all of you who join us each and every week for episodes of the Mankind Podcast, the show where we break the mold of modern manhood to prove there's more than one way to be a man. Lots of love. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
This has been another episode of the Mankind Podcast, produced in association with the Mankind Project USA. We have been your hosts, Boyson Hodgson and myself, Brandon Clift, and we want to thank our guests for joining us today and imparting their wisdom from their experiences in this amazing journey called life. If you want to find out more about today's guests and support them in their mission, you can find links to them in the show notes. Now, if you have found gold and insights that you believe could benefit your loved ones and those you care about, be sure to share it with them. And of course, we are always grateful for a rating and review of the show on iTunes. Now, above all else, we've got to thank you, the listener, because through your attention and your support, you have made it possible for us to let men all over the world know that they are not alone and that there is more than one way to be a man. And if something in this episode has touched you, then perhaps it is the call to action to get involved in men's work. With live trainings happening constantly and in-person trainings happening all over the world, the Mankind Project definitely has something for you. Now, if you've enjoyed the music in this episode and all of our episodes, be sure to check out Jim Donovan and the Sun King Warriors. I have links to them in the show notes. And lastly, just know, what it means to me to be a man is completely different than what it means for you. That is the beauty of this journey. So if you are looking for guidance, support, and community as you begin to unpack and dive deeper into your men's work journey, then you know where to find us. Same place, same time, next week. Lots of love. We'll see you then.
Hey, it's Boyson here with the Mankind Podcast. We are closing in on 100 5-star reviews of this podcast, and we have a goal. Brandon and I want to get to 250 5-star reviews. So help us out, will you? Please go to the Mankind Podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave us a review. Thank you.